Welcome back to Fast Market here on the Schwab Network. It's time for a cash tag segment. For that, let's bring in Landon Swan. He's a co-founder at Lightfolio. Welcome back to the show, Landon. Do we have Landon? Let's try this again. I'm not sure if we've got Landon here, but
can you hear me, guys?
Oh yeah, and there we go. I think we've got you now, Landon.
Right.
Happy Friday. You know, we're talking AMD with you guys, and we've started hitting on some of this tech stuff with you. The nearly 100% rally that we've seen, you know, Lisa Su, the CEO, came out swinging in that presentation earlier this week saying they're going to beat the pants off of the, the NVIDIA product, but they don't have anything out yet. Do you guys have data that says, hey, this move is too far too fast, or is your data supportive of the move?
Well, you know what? I mean, when we look at the data, the consumer's pretty excited about AMD. I mean, the happiness is actually a couple of points higher than NVIDIA, 71 versus 69. Small sample size there. I mean, small difference there. So it's not a huge breaking news there. But when we look at the web data, it's up about 11% on a year-over-2-year basis. So again, consumers are a little bit excited about this, especially with the news as of late. And when you dig into this chip, I mean, I can see why. It takes 7 months to produce one of these, which is incredible. It's got 1.6 times the bandwidth, 2.4 times the memory of the NVIDIA H100 chip. So they are coming out swinging, and it's really interesting to see the dynamics between this, because NVIDIA basically owns all of the market when it comes to AI GPUs. And AMD is now saying, you know what, we got a place at the table here, and we want our share. So the market is actually really taking note of this. When you look at what the forward PE ratios are, AMD's is actually much larger. It's about 50% higher on a valuation of forward PEs than NVIDIA. But I think they're at 35, 36, where NVIDIA's only at 24. So, it's incredible to see the difference here. NVIDIA is still about 5 times the size of AMD. But everything that we've got is strong on AMD. In fact, we were bullish on this company in May. We sent out an alert to our clients related to the blockchain. So our clients are up about 25% on AMD so far since then. And we're getting up to those levels where we're testing the 1-year highs. We're just a few points under it right now. And then after that, maybe we can test the November 21 all-time highs, which are about 30 points away after that. So everything that we've got is moderately bullish on it. Customers seem to like the product. And I think there's a lot of excitement about a second player on the block, a second competitor to NVIDIA's complete dominance as of late. So AMD is a little late to the party, but if you come and, it's technology, whoever's buying these chips they want the best product. And right now, AMD's product looks to have superior specs versus NVIDIA's. Now, of course, NVIDIA is going to come back with their next version. It's going to go back and forth. That's the beauty of free markets. But it's just nice to see that there is a true second competitor here out to challenge NVIDIA's complete dominance.
Landon, when you look at this company, you're right. Not only are they coming out with what they say is as much as 60% better product, but it's cheaper, right? But that may be problematic for some of these companies. If there's 2 competitors and there's going to be more, everyone's flooding into this sector. This is the problem right now with all these chip makers, is they're all going to be great companies. The problem is we don't work for those great companies. We're stock and options traders. And so we make our living whether being profitable on stock and options trades. So therefore, we have to decide, how about this stat? They are trading at 35 times next year's earnings. That is a 50% premium over NVIDIA. So now we've been screaming, pounding the table for a while that NVIDIA is way too expensive in terms of valuation. This is even more way too expensive in terms of valuation. Now, Linda Su came out and lit this sector on fire on Wednesday when she talked about 140 billion. No, it's actually going to be 400. But did this company, has this sector gone too far, Landon?
For the time being, it looks like it's stretched, but I tell you what, if you zoom out and fast forward 5-10 years from now, I mean, this is the future. And it's not just computing companies that need these products. It's every company. AI and the machine learning that we're seeing can have impact just about every company out there, and it really comes down to who's going to be innovative and who's going to jump on it. And so I think the market is going to grow exponentially as we move forward in the economy. It's not just high-tech companies. That's the easiest. That's the low-hanging fruit for companies like NVIDIA and AMD to go target, to sell to. But I think really just about every company out there needs to have a plan to implement machine learning and AI, because I've seen what it can do, and it is absolutely transformational. And every company that just kind of puts it on the back burner is going to get destroyed by a company that puts it on the forefront. So I think this market is going to 10x over the next 5 or 10 years. And there's room for AMD and NVIDIA, but I really think the big wins are going to be coming from the smaller cap companies or the mid companies that implement this and make it core to their business to compete against the really big, slower players. That's where I think you're going to see the really big stock gains over the next few years in this area.
Landon Swan throwing down the gauntlet to the CEOs here. You better get on board. But Landon, when you look at this, the way that I looked at it, and you mentioned the smaller to mid-sized companies that have to pick up AI, the different spaces where it's going to be relevant, it's probably going to be across the board, everything from industrial to healthcare and everything in between, including tech. But then you look at the partnerships that they already have. They've already got a partnership with Meta, Microsoft. Is that the key here, where if these companies are getting it, these other companies are going to say, hey, well, here's an alternative to NVIDIA, and the total addressable market's growing, but now you've got big players that are in this space. Everybody else is going to get on board, and that's the reason they're going to grow 10x.
Yeah, I think so. I think that the big guys are going to lead the way for sure, and there's going to be some smaller companies with extremely innovative CEOs that see it and they start moving early. But that time really is now, just like you talked about. But what's going to be interesting, I think, is going to be the brand loyalty, if you will. It's not really brand loyalty, but it's getting your systems acquainted with these different types of products. So NVIDIA had a huge advantage in this area in that they were basically the number one, the only one that you're going to. And so those customers that bought those products are going to continue with NVIDIA. But now AMD has the opportunity to say, hey, don't forget about us. Ours is better. Ours is cheaper. Again, until NVIDIA comes out with their next version. But in the meantime, everyone who's jumping in is going to maybe consider AMD, which could be not just a customer today, but a customer next year, 5 years from now, because it's easier to just stick with the same type of technology that you have rather than keep swapping it out each time a new version comes out. So it's again, there's a huge first mover advantage for NVIDIA. We cannot discount that. But I think the market recognizes the ability for AMD to chip into that lead. But I would say those forward projections, that forward PE being 50% higher than NVIDIA, is already pretty juicy, 24. It may be a little bit too high for me, but overall, this sector is going to grow tremendously over the next 5 or 10 years.
So your data is positive, and that's long term. So maybe short term, after a nearly 100% gain, you guys are a little bit more cautious here? Yeah,
I think that's accurate. I mean, we were bullish on NVIDIA. I can't remember how many reports we've sent out on NVIDIA that's been bullish, but then over the last couple of months, we've kind of tapped the brakes a little bit. You see those valuations catch up to what our expectations were, and now you say, okay, maybe there's a pullback coming, and if so, you pick up more shares. There's no doubt these are both great companies long term, but you got to consider the ebbs and flows of the market and the potential that these are a little bit overvalued in the short term.
All right, great stuff. Great. Always, Landon. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, guys. You too.
All right, that's Landon Swan, co-founder at Likefolio, breaking down the positive sentiment. I mean, these guys were ahead of the game here, Kevin, but you mentioned the valuation and the move that we've seen, this year so far, nearly 100% gains. Implied volatility levels cratering, which you'd expect when the stock's rallying like this. So how do you want to look at this? Yep.